talk itself is about a young kid who is not so sure about himself, not very confident in himself, who finds himself into a little bit of a struggle with a person who can be perceived as making judgments on him, whether that be because of his skin color or whether that be because of other things. I guess it's up to the audience to kind of make their decision from watching it. And when the parents see this, how they deal with that situation.
Basically, the discussion that some parents of color and minority have to have with their children about adversities that they might face throughout their life. Having that talk can be difficult, and it was this story that kind of helps show what it's like for these parents that have to have this talk with their children.
The talk is about a family coming to grips with needing to give their young African-American son the safety talk and the we are different talk that most African-American families will come across at some point in time. And I thought it was really authentic in the way that they kind of struggled with what are the right words to say and this idea of protecting yourself versus expressing yourself.
Some people still think today that people of color shouldn't be treated the same way as white people.
I feel like it's so ingrained in our being as African Americans, as Black people in America, that we have to have time set aside specifically to explain to us, like, hey, this is the world and how it's gonna be. And you have to prepare yourself, otherwise you can get hurt in this world, and this world can eat you up and chew you back out.
The talk story is basically about a boy who has troubles with his race, but he doesn't understand it yet, so his mom tries to explain it.
I think that this film is relevant today because a lot of people are starting to realize that there is an issue with racism in our country still.
I think that could help people learn what the talk is and help some parents learn how to tell the talk.
I actually had to call my dad and confirmed because I never really felt like I had the talk in one sitting. I felt like it was layers that sort of come along as you're sort of discovering things.
People need to be having more conversations about this topic and discussing what we might need to do to change things. And one thing that a lot of people might not know is that parents have to have these difficult conversations with their children at a young age.
The way that I kind of wrote this was what it would be like to be a fly on the wall during this intimate conversation between a child and their parents. Having the audience actually step into the shoes of the child so they can actually, for anyone who's actually missing that experience, they could actually see what it feels like to be talked to in that way.
I thought the director did a great job with a sensitive subject matter. I thought he got a lot out of the actors. The shooting was beautiful. The colors were beautiful. I think it's an award-winning film.
What are your thoughts about director D'Adonis? What was it like working with him?
Working with D'Adonis is always fun because he, think about this. Trying to think of good words about you, D'Adonis.
Very fun to work with, very easygoing, and knows how to direct.
It was fun working with Mr. D'Adonis.
Beautiful. I am beautiful.
Yeah, I can see them being the same person.
Yeah.
I think that he's fun.
Trying to not just say fun a million times because it was a lot of fun.
Fun. Fun is probably the word that sticks out the most.
On set, it was pretty fun.
Something that I kind of like to do is I always bring music to set. And I know I had like my mentor there, and I had a couple of other people who I consider my close friends. I try to keep an up-pace, upbeat mood whenever we're on set, so it's usually a good time.
It makes the experience of making a film fun. He brings a lot of joy to set, and every day he has a giant smile on his face because he's doing what he loves, which is making films. And seeing him working with all the amazing cast and crew was also interesting because he is more than just a director. He's like your friend.
So the reason why I reference Superman all up and down in this thing, it's the idea of what we consider to be our heroes. Who do we see that's put out on media, on the radio and movies and television, when we think of heroes? When we think of, the lead person in a film, when we think of the leads in a television show, who do we think of when we think of heroes? We always think of the strong, Caucasian male lead. When watching media, the portrayals of African Americans or black people that I see is usually the drug dealer, the best friend.
Drug use, gang violence, selling drugs.
Thugs or gangsters or people that you should be afraid of.
You typically see the cops as heroes and black people as criminals.
Either the bad guys or the people who get killed or the people who end up in jail.
It goes back to my point of showing, a diverse group of people, our capabilities, besides just doing slave movies, besides just acting as the thug, besides being the best friend, besides being the drug dealer. It shows that we have a lot of talented people out there that are more than willing to show their talents, but we have to be given the chance to do that. And that's exactly what we're missing from Hollywood right now.
And even when films aren't attempting to do that, they might have the villain be an African American, and even though they're not intentionally doing that, it's a subliminal thing for people. When they're watching these films, they just associate people of color with crimes, and that bleeds into our day-to-day lives.
It just makes me proud of being able to help make those opportunities for the people who haven't been properly represented.